Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Media Talks. My name's Cheryl Kingston and I'm the Managing Director of Media Meerkat, and we're a recruitment agency for our industry. I'd love to introduce Giles Smith, who's the CEO of Media Zoo, which is an award-winning learning and comms agency. Welcome to the show, Giles.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on today.
No, thank you very much. Look, I wanted to start just off the bat with the fact that I'd like you to introduce yourself, but I also want everyone to know that when I originally researched you and I was kind of looking at who you are, instead of the usual about section, which is kind of like I do this and I do that, yours on LinkedIn literally says inspiring positive change. And I think that's a really nice place to start. So you just tell the audience who you are, and then I want to find out a little bit more about that strapline.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, Giles Smith, CEO of Media Zoo, been in the role here for just over a year, and with Media Zoo for four. My background, interestingly, is nothing to do with media, and I'm not media trained. I've actually come from a learning and development background, and was doing that for 14 years with my previous employer, and also had my own business prior to that. And there are a lot of synergies between learning and media, which I believe the two coming together can make a significant difference to the industry as a whole, and saw Media Zoo as a fantastic opportunity to help bring that to life. I would say about me, I'm a constant learner. I love talking and engaging with people. I think communication is the heart of everything, and I love working in a business which is driven by helping people, inspiring people, and communicating more effectively.
How do you do that? And how do you inspire positive change at the same time?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. To be honest, you put your LinkedIn profiles together, and then generally don't look at your own too much. But inspiring positive change for me is twofold. So, why does it appear on my LinkedIn profile? Well, an old CEO of mine once said to me, "You can measure your success not by the size or the number, but by the fact of whether you made a difference and have you left it in a better place." And that's has really stuck with me throughout my career, in that everything I do and every place I've been, I want to ensure that I move it forward, and that when I leave, and inevitably you do leave, I see companies very much like football teams in some respects. Your supporters are there forever, but the reality is that the club stays there, and it just evolves through people evolve through the door. And for me, leaving somewhere in a better place really is sort of, and typifies what I believe I try and do as an employee and as somebody who works in an organisation. And for me, as inspiring positive change is a brilliant representation of what we're about. And that is, we like to create work that emotionally connects people to the content and the purpose. So really inspires them to want to do something different. We love to do work that is positive. So we recently, for example, won an award with NSPCC at EVCOM for some amazing work we did with them. So we like to do positive work. And importantly, everything we do, we want it to lead to change. So that's why we talk about inspiring positive change. So it's a combination of those two things, what we see ourselves as a business doing, and also just that belief as an individual, whatever you do, you should try and leave it in a better place than you found it.
And is that ever a challenge from a commercial perspective? Because inspiring positive change might not work with some commercial clients, or are you very picky on who you represent and who you take on?
I think we would be driven some way here by our staff choices. I believe firmly in the business representing the values of our employees. And I think that's becoming more and more important as we evolve as a country and a nation. And I think that for me, we pick the right work for us, but also we believe working with some clients that may not be seen as positive clients, and I won't name them, but certain industries might be seen. Actually, we feel if we are helping them improve and maybe solve problems around ESG, for example, or health, then in reality, again, we feel like we are moving them and helping them move in a more positive direction. So it's around finding the right pieces of work for sure, but also recognising we are a commercial business, and we first and foremost want to ensure that everybody is at Media Zoo has a safe and a sustainable role within the company too. So it's a balance, but I think it's a balance we can strike pretty fairly.
Okay, and I'd like to touch on your own background in a second, but while we're on the kind of subject of positive change, I noticed that, well, I know that Media Zoo recently-ish won an award for diversity and inclusion, um, which I feel like is something that should be integral to every business. It feels like a bit of a buzzword, quite honestly. Everyone says, oh, yes, yes, we have a great diversity and inclusion policy. But actually, one of the reports I read was that 41% of hiring managers say they don't have time to focus to diversity and inclusion. You guys have won an award on that. I'm not here to kind of just champion Media Zoo, but I found that really interesting. So tell me about that.
We, we put a lot of pride in diversity and inclusion. Partly we are a very diverse organisation, but also because there's no doubt in my mind, I think you'll see it on my post when we won that award, that it's not just a buzzword. Actually, when you look to recruit people into your organisation, you should be looking to bring in people with different ideas, different backgrounds, different cultures, who actually look at problems in a different way. And I think if you employ people who are a representation of yourself, actually you'll never start to move forward. You have to bring challenging people into the workplace to really help you move forward. So having a diverse workforce here isn't just about ticking the box, hey, we've won an award. It's actually about enabling us to really address problems in different ways. So when I came into role back in July, we have a head of diversity and inclusion, sits outside the people team. We do a lot of work for our customers in that space. And if we're going to do it for our customers, it's really important also for us to be doing it for ourselves. But also because, again, coming back to my employee base, my employees want us to have a very diverse workforce as well. So again, we're representing what we as a business want. We're bringing in value by bringing diverse backgrounds into our organisation, and also we are delivering to ourselves what we also commit and tell our customers they should be doing. So it's important on multiple levels, but I firmly believe that having that background of different groups in your organisation makes a huge difference to your ability to solve problems in a very positive way.
Really, completely. Were you shocked by the fact that 41% said they don't have time? Is it time consuming for you?
It's not time consuming for me, but I think it's about how you go about addressing the problem. So no, I'm not shocked. I think there are lots of things that we feel organisations should be doing that potentially they don't. And I think if you did surveys on a whole range of different areas, you'd probably start to think, why doesn't an organisation invest more in training and development, for example? Yet we'd all agree that training and development is a great way to move your workforce forward. The reality is, I think prioritising the things that they think are important will always be a challenge. But I think it's where you start. If you start about, oh, I must recruit people who are diverse, I think you're starting at the wrong place. If you look across your senior team or across your business and think about where potentially do I need new ideas, fresh ideas, more challenge in the business, and then start to map the type of employees you need, you'll probably find you're naturally bringing in a more diverse workforce anyway. But I think it sits with the recruiting managers to make good decisions about what they need to drive their area forward and surround themselves with people who actually can do the things they can't. And I think that's often a mistake people make. They recruit people in their shadow rather than necessarily look to people who can help them as a whole be a better team.
And does diversity and inclusion mean to you also employing people that might come not from the industry like yourself, but from a completely different one that can look at it in a fresh perspective?
Yeah, I like, yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I didn't come through the industry, and obviously, previous CEO felt I would be a good addition, and that's because of my background, my skills at the time, which were relevant to what they were looking for. I don't think I judge people so much. I mean, there are core technical skills that you need people to have when they join the organisation. But actually, if you can believe you can train the technical skills, which we do, actually, you want characteristics, you want good communication skills, you
Yeah.
want good collaboration skills. And they're not necessarily unique to our industry. In fact, let's hope they're definitely not unique to our industry. So I think you can look for your core behavioral skills, identify those within the people you want first, and then look which of the technical skills you can train on top of that. And we have a very strong training and development internal process here that we start to bring people through our organisation. So it does give us scope to recruit on a wider spectrum than potentially other organisations can.
Definitely feel like there's been a shift in the last 2 years from when I was in the industry, because I used to predominantly work in TV, but also used to work a little bit on the agency side, and it was very rare that you flitted between the two. You were either very much a TV producer or a TV writer or whatever it was, and you kind of stuck to your lane. I definitely feel like over the last couple of years that shifted a bit, and there's a little bit more kind of, but I do feel like our industry, just generally as a whole, it aren't susceptible to change, and yet we're one of the industries that really drive change across.
Yeah.
I find it bizarre. It's almost a juxtaposition completely.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I think when I first arrived in the industry, there are some really technical skills, and you look at them and go, "Oh my God, I wouldn't even know where to start with that." And you're learning a whole new language almost
Mm.
about. For me, filming was completely alien. I'd never been involved at all. So you start to learn a whole new language about it. But when you delve down into things, actually, it's not that complicated. You know, the talent is the ability to take the footage and shoot the right footage and bring that footage together and edit it and connect it. Sure, that's a real talent, and you want people at a top level to be able to do that really effectively. But also, I firmly believe, and through our program called the Zoo University, you can bring young, talented people into your organization and you can train those people to do those skills because you have them in house. But you want people who represent your values, your beliefs, who connect with the business, connect with the purpose of the business. And sometimes they're more difficult to find, those behavioral skills. So, yeah, I think it feels like a mystery from the outside to the outside world, some of the skills that are in the media industry. And yet, actually, when you're in there, it's not as complicated, still incredibly talented individuals, but actually you can train technical skills. And I think that's the key to starting your recruitment process. Do I need the behaviors, or is it technical skills, and which role am I trying to fill? But yeah, I think it's about having a really good, rigid development and training structure in place to bring people through on their careers with your business.
Agreed. I definitely think that, obviously skill with any business, but skills can be taught to a degree, but sort of behaviors and personality and attitude just can't. You're either one way or you're not. And I do feel like, and I love the industry with all my heart, otherwise I wouldn't still be in it.
Yeah,
Recruiting in it now, but I spent 20 years in it. But I do think that there's a little bit of this kind of self-importance that we kind of put on ourselves or put on our industry as being like, oh, we're in the media, we're this, we're that. And I think, well, actually, we are just people. And I think, like, for example, if you're a factual producer, you kind of stay in your lane, and then yet the skills could be used in such a diverse portfolio of jobs. Like, why aren't we being more fluid with that?
an industry. Interestingly, if you look at the career pathways that are starting to come into play in organisations, it's less going up the ladder now. It used to be very much I'm working my way up that. I'll stay in my lane and I'll work up the ladder. Now people don't want to do that. They're very much looking at matrices. Can they move sideways? Can they move across? Can they apply their skills, learn new skills? And I think a key to retention is, of course, giving people the opportunity to develop new skills and enhance existing skills, rather than keeping them on a single track. So at the zoo, we have a program called Exchange. We build it internally, and we train. Everybody's welcome. If you want to go and learn how to be a camera person, you can go on the camera person course and you can learn those skills. And it's great because people are learning and developing new skills. And sometimes you find someone who's maybe bit of extreme in finance, suddenly has a real skill for something and a real interest, and potentially that enables you to keep a very talented person in your business and give them a new trajectory of travel, which I think is great. And for me, enabling our employee base to move forward and our people to move forward is so critical. I think everything is about protecting those people you have in the organization and giving them every opportunity to succeed. And if at some point they turn around and say, actually, thank you for all these skills, I've got a fantastic job opportunity somewhere, you should celebrate that. The fact that you've been a stepping stone in enabling them to be successful is just a great story for you as a business to move forward. So for us, it's very much about continually developing skills, giving people the opportunity to develop and grow, and at the same time, benefit the organisation from having a more diverse and also a more broader set of skills within the business.
Completely agree, and I can kind of see how your learning and education background is kind of coming into play here with a lot of the things that you talk about. Or was this very much part of it before you joined?
Well, I think one of the things that always struck me, and it was here before I joined Media Zoo, so I don't want to lay claim to anything that's mine, but I joined Media Zoo from a learning and development background for a simple reason, which is in the space of learning and development, content is not the issue. There is thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of content available for people to learn new skills. The real issue is, can we inspire people to want to learn new skills? Can we inspire people to choose to make positive decisions to change? And for me, bringing learning and communications together is a really great way of enabling businesses to engage their audiences and also people to engage a purpose. I think you'll see, if you look at the stats from last year, I think Gallup had a poll out that said only 23% of employees in the UK were actually engaged in the workplace.
Mm.
And the knock-on effect that has to performance is huge. So for me, I saw Media Zoo as an amazing opportunity to really help organisations connect with their people and move forward in a time when change is a constant. It's an old phrase, but there's so much technology, there's so much innovation, there's so much going on in the world as a whole, that actually change is just a consistent factor, and you have to be able to take your people with you on that journey of change. And that's about really strong positive communication and really clear education about how people can be part of that change process.
And on the subject of change, while we're on it, let's talk about AI.
Yeah.
Because change, I mean, I don't know. I'm fascinated by AI. So even when I'm going for like my daily morning run, I will listen to podcasts about AI because I'm so interested in it, scared and terrified, I'll be honest, about what it actually means. Because I think that everybody at the moment, everyone's kind of saying, oh, everyone's job is safe, it's going to enhance everybody. But I do think the reality is there are going to be people unemployed because of AI. And I think we're naive to say that that's not going to happen. But how do you see it playing out over the next couple of years? Because change couldn't be any more fundamental to what AI is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no expert on AI. Start there,
No,
but
me.
I've been around. I've been around for some time, unfortunately. And I started. My first job actually was selling computers, and at the time they were wise done terminals. They weren't even computers as we know them today. And you look 20 years on, and how much the industry and technology has moved on. You have to accept that if it's AI today, it'll be something else tomorrow. Okay, so you choose to embrace it and maximize the potential opportunity, or you choose to ignore it. And history tells us the companies that choose to ignore new technologies fall well behind the curve. So for me, I see AI as an opportunity. I think you have to understand how to use it and get the best potential out of it. And I think you're right; it will impact jobs. So I don't think we should pretend that certain jobs won't either reduce or disappear completely. But I think new roles and new jobs will become about. Um, and and I think this connects Media Zoo really well into this space on a couple of things. So, firstly, for how Media Zoo is using it, well, we've put in some guidelines about what we can and can't do on AI. We've put in some tools that we are prepared to use and those that we're not. We're talking to some of the big industry providers about understanding how to best use those tools in a safe and correct way to protect both ourselves and our customers. But on the other side of that, we see it can be a really quick way of rapid production.
Mm.
And I see it at the moment, and this may well change in 2 or 3 years' time. I see it at the moment as a really strong starting point for some of the productions and scripts and ideas that you might come up with to help you start to formulate that. So it was like brainstorming on your own with a computer to some extent. And the team are using that. And I think we should be transparent about that and open about it, but also recognize the benefits of doing it, which is time and also efficiencies around how we actually start to get content to our customers quicker. Excuse me. So yeah, we're embracing it. We're taking the early tentative footsteps on that journey. We're also embracing it from a sales and marketing perspective. So we're working with a partner organisation called Impact 24, who are helping us build out customer personas against our product set, so we can really target new market areas that Media Zoo hasn't yet been able to penetrate. So we're really looking at all the different tools and opportunities. But from a broader perspective and from a employee development perspective, I mentioned earlier our University program, which is our graduate program based out of Scotland. Well, our next cohort will be developed in the skills of creative production using AI. What that enables us to do is, coming back to our early conversation, get really creative individuals who haven't necessarily got media production background or learning backgrounds or PR backgrounds, but actually really creative people who have a really good fit with our organization from a values and beliefs and behaviors point of view, and put them through a program so they can help us produce really great content. And that enables me to bring young, diverse people into the organization, new ideas, fresh ideas, but also gives them tools to help their career in what is clearly going to be a very changing landscape over the next 3 to 5 years. So we're using it in a really positive way, but also in a safe way to protect our customers. So for us, big opportunity and something we're happily to embrace. I'm conscious I've talked forever there, so I'll let you have a break, let you have a word.
No, it's interesting to me because I love it. I love AI. I think what it can do, but I almost feel like it's a rabbit hole that you could go down and spend so long, because it is almost a is almost a complete opposite of what we are as a creative. Obviously, I run an agency now, so not so much a creative. But when you think about the technical ability and skill that you do need to be good at AI, you do need to have technical understanding, even prompt engineering. You know, just even putting something in ChatGPT, it is engineering. To get the best out of it, you have to put the best in it, and that's technical. And that is almost a polar opposite of what a creative is. So it's blending the two, which I do find exciting. But I think, I mean, I ran a poll recently on my LinkedIn, and it was about 40% of people said that they are creatives, are not interested in using it at all. And that frightens me, because I think you're not going to have a choice. In fact, I don't think you have a choice now, quite honestly.
I, I agree. I think you'll find, even if I was sitting here and saying no, we're not using it, I could guarantee people in the organisation were. I just wouldn't know about it. You know,
Yeah.
people are using AI in their daily lives, and therefore it's natural for them to bring it into work in the same way that people now use their own mobile phones and bring that into work and use that as a tool. You know, AI is just an extension of what people are doing in their personal lives as well. So you have to have a plan and a structure around it. You have to decide how you want to use it as a business, where you want to use it, and ensure that it's being used in the right way to protect yourselves and your customers. Um,
Are you using it because you have to?
no, I'm using it because I come from a technology background. So for me, I remember the first computer, and I remember, well, the first computer I had, and I remember, the sort of internet starting to become big, and now AI is just another step in
Remember the
that.
dial-up internet where you'd have
Exactly.
noise while it connected?
You remember that, when that went, lots of people say, well, that won't last, but not only does it last, it's now a key tool within business.
Yeah.
And I think that you have to embrace these technologies. I'm a bit of a techie, so I like to embrace them. But the young people, I think this is what we forget. And I use the term young people because I'm in my 50s, and I look at my son who's 17. He might as well have been born with an iPad in his hand.
Mm, mm,
Ability to use that technology is almost instant, and they're coming into the workforce, and they will come into the workforce with an expectation that they can use tools.
mhm.
It's important that businesses are prepared for that and not stifle that, because if you stifle that, those employees will go elsewhere. They
Yeah.
will want to use the tools that they use in their daily life, and they will use them highly effectively because they're so natural to them. What we have to do is just create the safety net around it to ensure that we're using it in the right way, and also that we're giving them the opportunity to experiment and explore with those tools as well. So for us, it's critical, not just because we think that's the way the industry going, but I think it's critical to our young talent and bringing our young talent into the business. And I think I said to you when we first chatted, our university program is really important to me. And having young people come in and just push us again on that next level of creativity with new ideas, bringing new tools, new thinking to the workplace is critical. I want at some point down the road when I'm retired, one of our universities to be the CEO of MediaZoo, because I want to see people move through the organization. And I think AI will be one of the tools they will use to progress successfully through businesses like ours.
Agreed. I almost feel like, for want of a better word, AI is a bit of a weapon. And if you use it in the right way, you can fly and dominate. And those that refuse to, sadly, will be left behind, because I don't think, even in 6 months' time, do you know what? Even now, I don't think you're going to have many companies that go, oh, you're not interested in AI? Okay, fine.
Yeah. And the reality is that at the sort of harsh level, when we talk about job losses, organizations are constantly needing to be more efficient.
Yeah.
We all know about the cost of living. Let's not go there. We don't want to start talking about that a few days after the election. But we all know that's a problem. Therefore, we've got to maintain and manage costs. Your products and your service have to be affordable in the market space. And therefore, you have to be efficient. And AI brings that efficiency. But it also brings a different dynamic as well. So, yes, potentially call centers might be an area where you can reduce the number of people you need because AI can answer more and more questions online simply and easily for your customer base. But then customer engagement, relationship building, truly understanding the challenges and the problems of your customers so you can feed that information into your AI and enable those responses becomes more important. So for us as an agency, our relationships with our customers and that personal connection becomes more and more important. And actually we can produce content quicker. So for me, there is a transition of people's skills to new roles and new skills that will be required once AI is fully embedded.
Yeah, and I know when we initially spoke, I said to you that I feel that that customer service human element is going to be even more important. I think it's become post-COVID exceptionally important. I think what COVID did. I mean, we've gone through. It's interesting, really. Like I mean, I'm 41. You're in your 50s. Like what we've seen in a relatively short space of time has been incredible to me. When you look at it from like an aerial perspective, I
Yeah.
think you know I look back at the COVID times with a form of PTSD. I had a newborn who wasn't allowed to, no one was allowed to touch her or hold her. And I look at that, and I also think it was an incredible time of change
Yeah.
that all these years later has such a significant impact on us now. I mean, I was interviewed yesterday on Talk Radio about working from home,
Yeah.
and he was challenging me on my opinions, and I won't go into it now. But I said it's a post-COVID world, and he said, yeah, but that was years ago, and I'm like, the impact's still here.
For me, what COVID changed, I mean, from the learning industry, it changed a huge amount because suddenly nobody could be in the classroom. So
Yeah,
everybody started remote. Interestingly, now there's a desire to get back in the classroom because people want that connection. They want the engagement, the conversations that you don't get on Zoom or on any other platform give you because they're a little bit more formulaic, a sort of meeting on form. Whereas you're chatting to somebody when you first arrive or when you leave, it brings a whole different connection. But what it did give people is a sense of finding their work-life balance.
yeah,
And we at Media Zoo say, ideally, we'd like you in 3 days a week, but have a chat with your manager. And if it doesn't make sense for you that week, then that's fine as long as your manager knows where you are. But we want everybody in on a Monday because Monday is the kickstarting of your working week. We plan what we're going to do and we go ahead. And after that, we don't really mind because actually, when people are committed and working, and you know when they're not. But it brought along with it much more sense of what are my values, what are my beliefs, what do I want from being employed, rather than what do I need to give to my employer. And I think that changes everything about how you recruit, how you treat people, how you think about workspace, and actually naturally how, as a CEO, and this is my first role as a CEO, the dynamics have shifted. That it's no longer about laying down instructions and sending people out. It's about collaboration. It's about listening to my team. It's about hearing their thoughts and their ideas and getting them to input to our business strategy as a whole, rather than it being singly based around a small team of people trying to decide the way. And I think it changes everything, and it had a massive impact that maybe hasn't even fully been realised yet.
I totally agree. I think we're going to feel the effects of that for years. But I was asked whether I think that the candidates have their power these days or the company. And that's interesting. Obviously, it totally depends. And of course, the company holds the cards. But I do think that the power that the individual has now, power may be the wrong word, but people don't want to be strapped to the computer desk anymore. I feel like they have to literally physically clock in and clock out, and I've done that myself in a job. I've actually clocked in and clocked out, and how it makes you feel is literally just like a little ant within like this wider, it doesn't make you feel empowered. And I think that especially like the younger generation, and I speak to talented people all day, and it takes a shift in my mindset to kind of sort of understand or empathize how this 23-year-old straight out of university wants 45k and work from their home. I'm like, because I had to commute 5 hours a day to have that same job on half the salary. But people want more out of their life now.
They do, and salary is always going to be a challenging one. I don't think I want to go there either. But the clocking in and clocking out. So I did that when part-time job when I worked in one of the large supermarkets in the warehouse many years ago. And you clock in, you clock out. Didn't think anything of it because it was the norm. It was very normal to do that. That's become less normal, and things have changed. Now, I'll be sitting here. We start at 9:30. I might see somebody walk in at 9:45. Do I get overly distressed about that? Not really, because to be honest, people have got a working life. Transported to London can sometimes be tricky. Maybe they've had to drop a child off at nursery, or maybe they've had to organise something else. We have a dog policy here. You can bring your dog in because actually finding dog sitters is proving more challenging than ever before, and more expensive than ever before. I think you have to look at how do you support your people in a different way. And whilst I've grown up from the days when you used to clock in and clock out, the world's just changed. And I think mentally, it's beholden on me not to be Generation X and go, well, that's how it used to be. It
Yeah.
wasn't like my time. And actually recognise that my time, as I knew it, has changed. And this is a new time. And if I can't embrace that, I can't do my job. So for me, we have to listen to the people. We have to see the views. But importantly, people also need to remember that we are a commercial business. And first and foremost, we have to ensure that we're making enough money to keep everybody gainfully employed and be successful, and ensure that everybody's happy. So there is the balance that you have to be able to strike. But I think happy workforce, flexible working, considered views about your values, your beliefs, engaging your people is really important part. And I'm fortunate that I've only got 120 plus people here, but I guess you got 50,000 people. That is a bigger challenge, of course. But that's where Media Zoo play in terms of our work with our customers.
But you said about someone walking in 15 minutes later. I remember that if you did that, you'd have to go into the office of the managing director and say to them, "Really sorry, I'm late. I'm going to make up the time later." But now it is completely different. Yes, you have to do a certain number of hours, but I do think that the trust element now is put on the individual.
Really important. I think trust is really interesting because
But it does have to work both ways. It can't just be one way.
yeah. But I remember early in my career, people going, well, we've employed you. It's important for you to earn trust, which is just nonsense. For me, why did you employ me if you didn't trust me, right? So for me, I start with a base principle. When we employ people because we believe them to be the right type of person for Media Zoo, and we trust that, and we trust them. And then the only thing they mustn't do is give back the trust. And if you work that way around, people feel more empowered. They feel more enabled to be themselves. And there's a lot about bringing your whole self to work. Or you want to be yourself. You want to come in and you want to feel that people are relaxed and comfortable and can work to their best and really positive about being here. And that generally leads to higher engagement. Higher engagement leads to better productivity, and that ultimately it's a natural progress for the business. But work has to go into it. You can't just just do what you like, because then it does get out of control.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I was invited onto this radio show, I just want to know if you've seen it or not, was because apparently 6 million people this year are going to be working from the beach, which I find interesting because we've not had a summer, so I don't even know how that's possible. But have you seen that video where there's a lady in the middle of the sea with her laptop and her phone? Have you seen
No,
it?
but
It's
I'm
brilliant.
going to Portugal in a couple of weeks, and I hope that's not expected of me.
It's just brilliant. She's got all these waves going and she's like typing away, and I'm like, I mean, that might be taking like working outside of the office to the extreme.
Yeah, I think there is an interesting point, and I don't think this is COVID related. This is very much mobile phone related, in that whilst we strive to find a work-life balance, the reality is it's not a work-life balance. Our life is a real blend of work
Both.
and our personal life,
100%.
and the two overlap hugely. So it's really not unusual for me to do a call while I'm on holiday
Yeah.
because I'm happy to. I choose to. You
Yeah.
know, nobody's forcing me to. I choose to because I'm balancing it. But the counter of that, it's not unusual for me to take a personal call when I'm at work, or go, I need to leave early tonight, or because I've got something else going on in my private life. And I think there's no such thing for me as work-life balance. It's actually just our lives, and
100%.
we're becoming better at blending the two together. And I think organizations benefit from that, as well as maybe sometimes it feels like a distraction, but I think you have to embrace it.
Agreed. And when we take on a client and they'll say to me, you know, oh, we want to make sure that they're in the office or whatever, and I'm like, do you realize that the productivity of someone working from home is often greater, because they feel like they almost owe you something. They're on their phone like all the time. In the evenings, they're responding to emails. If they were in the office and you made them go into the office, as you probably wouldn't get that flexibility.
Yeah,
Obviously, I run my own business, but I'm really conscious that my 4-year-old doesn't constantly see me with my phone in my hand, because it's just my second. I mean, literally, almost like I'm preparing her dinner, and I'm like, you know, on my phone, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like she's gonna think I'm literally strapped to it, but I am.
yeah. I mean, it's only a matter of time until our phones are built into our hands, right, or something. So you don't
Oh,
even. I think I was on Total Recall. I think I saw that on a film.
good
But
film. Good film.
reality is, I always listen to either podcasts or music on the train on the way into work. And if you look around, everybody is on the phone. The days of sitting on the phone on the train reading a book have almost gone. There's a few people, diehards, hanging on to the press, written press. And I love it, but the phone is such an integral part of our lives. You can't you go out, I'm taking my phone. You go on holiday, I'm taking my phone. We pay with our phone. We've got games on our phone. We communicate via our phone in multi different ways. Technology is just built into society now. And as I discovered with my kids as they grew up, and 17 and 14, they adapt to that technology quicker, which brings us back to that's why organizations need to adapt to the young generation coming through, how they're going to work, the technologies that they want to use. What we have to do is make sure we've got safe boundaries in order to be effective in the business. But it's critical part of how we move forward as an organization. It's critical about how we help our customers move forward as organizations as well.
Giles, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I would love to just end the podcast on asking you what's next for you.
Well, I think what's next for me is deliver the task in hand here at Media Zoo. I'm a year in, and it's a 5-year plan.
Mhm.
So I think first and foremost that is on my mind. We are working very hard at the moment to present Media Zoo. It's in a slightly different way to the market, and that is around helping our clients deliver change and deliver really impactful programs that make a difference. I'm really pleased with the progress we've made so far in the last 12 months, and I look forward to what we're going to do over the next couple of years with that. And I think that'll be really exciting for us. For me, I think I will continue to embrace the principles of people first. And whether that be my customers or whether it be the people who work here at Media Zoo or whether it be my family, they're all critically important to me. And I think embracing that and making sure that we're giving everybody the opportunity and the guidance they need to be successful, enjoy their life, and have great careers is really important to me. I've been very fortunate to have worked with some amazing people, both who have been my managers or indeed have worked for me in the past. And the next 5 years for me is very much about giving back and helping new people be successful. After that, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the golf course might be beckoning at some point.
I'm sure it is. And I love the fact that not only is it on your LinkedIn and everything about you, inspiring positive change is literally behind your head in your office.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They put it out. They've misspelt it bizarrely, but they put it out.
Yeah, there's no why, but Giles, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Cheryl. Lovely
Thank
to
you.
speak to you.
Speak to
Thanks a
you
lot.
soon. Bye.